Hey guys, it's me Sophia and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have not done this in a very long time. I've been busy. Life is crazy. I'll put it that way. I think that's the best way I can put it. That or like, if we want to get into nerd territory, quoting Uncle Monty from Series of Unfortunate Events, life is the conundrum of esoterica. And you know what? I've never agreed more than the time that I've spent off of this YouTube channel, because that whole time is just like esoteric. Just now learned that esoteric does not mean what I thought it meant. So yeah, let's move on. Today I wanted to talk about a pressing matter on the internet sphere right now, which is the summer I turned pretty. Because oh my goodness, there are people who have not read the books and it shows. And so I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna give you guys some of my opinions about stuff. This is your spoiler warning now for all 3 seasons of The Summer I Turned Pretty and all 3 books. So I'll warn you of that now. I want to start off by saying I am Team Conrad, and that is because I've read all 3 books, and we'll get into that later. But what I'm gonna say right now is, I forgot to silence my phone. What I will say now is that if this were real life, which I know is like something that's so, like, if you're creating a fiction work, it's so kind of like stupid, I guess, if you're trying to separate real world from fiction, to start then comparing it to the real world. Like, I understand that, but I'd like to make it clear too that actually if this were real life, I'd be on Team Conrad, but not for Belly. No, I'm on Team Conrad for Conrad. Like, he needs to leave this situation, and I'll explain why. Belly, she's indecisive, and I think that indecisiveness isn't good for the people around her. And like, it's kind of like, I don't think they really talk about it in the book, and I don't think even the character of Belly really notices it in the book, but I think she just kind of expects that after she's done like going to do the rounds of guys, that the one true love of her life will be there for her at the end of the day. And here's your spoiler warning. The one true love of her life does turn out to be Conrad, but like, I'm surprised that he stuck around, because in book 1 it was oh well, I'm trying to get over my crush on Conrad, so let me go out with this guy that I met on the beach that I know from, what was it, like a Latin club or something from school, Cam Cameron. So she starts going out with Cam Cameron, and then she's like, oh, but I think I still like Jeremiah, so I shouldn't be going out with Cam Cameron. Breaks up with him. I mean, Conrad, sorry. And so, and then she's like, oh, what? Yeah, I still like Conrad. And then instead of actually going to Conrad, goes to Jeremiah. Now, the book, season 1 and book 1 are very different. There's no Deb ball in book 1, like, that's not a thing. So you can't really go based off of anything that happened at the Deb ball when talking about the book. So basically this whole section is just me like talking about such a minor difference between the book and the show that I don't really think it needs to be talked about in full, like how I was discussing it. But I will say one of the other differences
since they took out the Deb ball, they also take out a lot of the drama with that. So, like, we never get to see Steven have a girlfriend. We never get to see, like, anything like that. The most that's, like, mentioned is that there is a girl at the beach bonfire in the first book that, like, catches Belly off guard. That's about as far as it goes. They don't really have Deb ball rivalries. They aren't stealing people's clothes while skinny dipping in a lake. You know, that's not really the book's thing, because I think the book was intended for a younger audience. They didn't really do as much of that stuff, just like how there isn't as much swearing or as much drinking in the books, but that's, you know, neither here nor there. Anyways, this is probably too much, but yeah, that's a bigger thing, I guess, than just talking about what I was originally talking about here. So yeah.
Season 1 ends with Conrad and Belly kissing on the beach. And it's like, scene, book over, movie over, show over, not movie, show over. They've made out. Congratulations, you got Belly and Conrad. Like, yay!
I would also just like to make it clear that I'm not 100% sure how book 1 ended, but I'm pretty sure it just ended with Conrad and Belly being together, and Jeremiah wasn't really a contributing factor. And then her and Jeremiah didn't get together until her and Conrad had broken up in book 2.
Anyways, book 2, I would just like you to know, views, opinions, I was Team Jeremiah for both of these books. And like, I actually got excited. There was like a look ahead to book 3, and I didn't really like read the sneak peeks of the next book because I didn't want there to be any spoilers. Like, I learned that from this one, because after I finished this one and I went to read the, like, oh my goodness, look, there's a sneak peek of the next book, and it's like, I was gonna say it spoiled that Susanna died, but like, to be fair, what it was showing was like the first couple pages of the second book, and I was like, oh, it's the opener. Okay. I used to love Jeremiah. Book 1, I loved Jeremiah, and I was glad that she was with Jeremiah because Conrad was moody and he acted stupid towards her because he knew that his dad was cheating on his mom, who had cancer. And you know what? Like, even after watching season 1 and seeing like Conrad's so moody and so angry and he doesn't know how to, he found out his dad was cheating on his dying mother and then couldn't tell anybody because his mom didn't want to tell anybody that she had cancer. Which, like, I guess valid. Like, you don't have to tell that immediately if you don't want to, but like, dang. Anyways, when I first read the first book, I didn't like Conrad because I thought he was too moody. So when I saw this line in the sneak peek for the third book, which was, you are the milk to my shake, forever and ever, love, Jay, I was super happy because I thought Belly and Jeremiah were gonna be endgame, and was like, yay. See, this is what I was talking about. I used to be Team Jeremiah. Anyways, season 2 is like I feel like a more over dramatized version of what happens in this. Basically what happens is Conrad runs away from college or something, and so Belly and Jeremiah have to go find him, but this is like after that whole thing of like Belly and Conrad having dated and then broken up, and it was messy, and she finally decides, like, after the thing is, her and Jeremiah, I don't think were actually really fighting in this book. I can't remember, but I don't think anything happened at the end of this book to make them fight in this book. But I could be wrong about that. But when you get to that last scene of them in the hotel room and she's like on the bed with the two boys on either side, she like at some point decides that she's going with Jeremiah because all the stuff that happened with Conrad was far too painful. I'm like, girl, you're upset that he broke up with you while his mother with cancer died? Like, she had just died and you're like, why are you upset? Like, season 2, you get the prom breakup. It's in book 2 as well. It actually, if I remember correctly from the show versus the book, it actually did a pretty accurate, good job of depicting what was happening. But the thing is, in the show and in the book, that scene, the prom scene, occurs after Susanna has just died from cancer. And Belly's like, he didn't get me a corsage. He must not love me. He's not talking to me. He doesn't want to spend the night with me after this. He doesn't want to stay. He doesn't look like he's having a fun time at prom. Why isn't he smiling and dancing? Girl, his mom just died. Why are you smiling and dancing when your second mother basically just died? Like, I'm more confused while you're smiling and dancing. And like, she was upset because he was upset that his mom just died. And I'm like, that's selfish. Like, let him grieve his mother for 5 seconds before you try and make it all about you.
I'm just now realizing, I have this book, and I was going through and looking at some of them. I'm just now realizing, like, how many lines they actually kept from the book in the show. But, you know, there are still a lot of differences. Anyways.
No, season 2 ends with her being upset at Conrad for some reason. I don't know. And is basically like, oh yeah, he never cared, so I'm gonna go be with Jeremiah now. Okay. Go, I guess. And that leads us into book 3, which takes place, I can't remember how many years later. It doesn't say how many years later it takes place. It just kind of, I remember actually being confused when I started this book because I didn't know that there was going to be a time jump, and so when I looked and saw that chapter 1, like literally the first sentence of chapter 1 is her talking about like being in college and being, I think, sophomore year of college and doing finals and yeah, freshman year at Finch University. So like it was very confusing to be like sent into freshman year of college because I didn't know that there was going to be a time jump. If I had known that there was going to be a time jump, it would have been a lot less confusing. Also, I would like to point out something else that's not Belly, Conrad, Jeremiah, really. Actually, it does have to do with Belly, but it's her friendship with Taylor. Because what I noticed, season 1, their friendship was like good, but it was rocky. You know, like there were still moments, they still fought. They're 16-year-old girls. What do you expect? Book 2, they fight, but like they had a good friendship for most of it. Then at some point, at one point, I can't remember what they were fighting about, but they started fighting and like it got so bad to the point like they stopped being friends for like at the end of the book they weren't friends. And then and then in book 3 they were friends again, but there's like a point where Belly says like we're still friends and we still have that history of like what we know about each other, but it's just not the same anymore. And like they don't even talk to each other in this book. I can't remember what it was. Like they had a big blowout at some point, and then they wouldn't like even talk to each other, and then they went to, I think they were doing back to school shopping or something at a mall, and then they ran into each other and started talking, and then they became friends again. And I can't remember if that's the end of this book or if it's in this book somewhere. I think it's in this book somewhere. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. It's in one of these two. But they are not nearly as close of friends in here. And so she has a new friend at college, who is in the TV show, named Annika. Which I'm realizing now, I should never read books with names that I might not know, because I think I specifically remember reading this book and reading it Annika. I think that's just an easy mistake to make. Anyways, Belly and Taylor's relationship also changes, and like in the show, their friendship stays the same. They're kind of on the same level. They're always hyping each other up, saying like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be your best friend forever, whatever. But there's never actually any fallout, and these two cover their fallout a little bit. So they're still friends in this one. They're just not nearly as close as they once were. So that's another change. So for the books, they have
I would also like it to be known that it's called duo POV, but I get confused sometimes and call it dual. So if you keep hearing me say dual, that's why.
I can't remember if it was Jeremiah or Conrad's perspective, but they were covering somebody's perspective in season 2, and I can see how that would be confusing because I don't think they did that in season 1, and there's only 3 episodes of season 3 out right now, and that, I don't know if that'll happen in this season. But with book 1, it's, oh no, okay, so this one isn't dual POV. This one is just Belly, which makes sense. So actually, never mind. They have an opportunity to do something great, and I hope that they did it in season 3, because season 1 is just Belly. She's the only one saying anything in this book, I'm pretty sure. Like, it's all her thoughts, it's all her, what's happening to her, it's her, and you don't really get to be inside the heads of anyone else. Book 2 is a Belly Jeremiah dual POV, so you get to see Belly's thoughts and interactions, and you get to see Jeremiah's thoughts and actions. And I think that, is what put me on to Team Jeremiah in the first place, is because this one gave me an opportunity to see inside Jeremiah's head, see what he was thinking, what he thought was going on. Book 3, almost dropped it. Book 3 is a dual POV between Belly and Conrad. So it's like,
there's a really popular TikTok sound based on like the way to start. Like there was a start of one of Conrad's chapters that really blew up on TikTok, and I don't think people really noticed that.
Also, Agnes is a character in the book. I didn't know that. I forgot about her. Except it says that she had short, dirty blonde hair that was wavy, and she had it cut at her chin. Sometimes she wore glasses, and her skin was as pale as milk. So they got a ginger. Oh my goodness. I'm joking. Please don't. This book is what made me become Team Conrad, not just because of everything that was going on with Jeremiah, because he was so real in this book, and I loved seeing his perspective. I would rather have somebody shoot me in the head with a nail gun repeatedly. I think that was the TikTok sound. Anyways, I've gotten off topic. This one is a Belly and Conrad dual POV. So, Belly and Jeremiah, Belly and Conrad. Which actually, kind of works out if you think about it. In the end of so I don't know what's gonna happen in season 3, so I can't really do comparisons yet. I can't do full, like, complete comparisons until September, when, like, I think September 17th is when the last episode comes out. But I'll tell you what happens. So I can make comparisons a little bit. So first of all, Steven as a character, he was here in this book, and then he went off to college, and he was mentioned here before he went off to college, and then wasn't in the rest of the book. So Steven being there in the show is different. Steven comes back for a minute in this book, but again is not really like a main character. And Steven and Taylor never had a romantic relationship in the book, so I can't say anything book-wise based off of the Taylor and Steven situation in the TV show, because there's just not much, there's like nothing to go on, because they don't have a relationship in the books. The most it talks about their connection is like, oh, you're the annoying best friend of my sister. That's about as far as their connection goes in the books. And then Steven goes off to college, and we don't really see him. And I think the next time we see him, like, he's mentioned at the beginning of book 2, I think, and then the next time we see him is when Belly and Jeremiah announce that they're gonna get married to their families. That they're gonna get married to each other, to their families. And, that did not go over well, but Steven was there. And I think he also showed up for the wedding, but for the most part, it's like a Belly Jeremiah Conrad book, and so he's really, like, that's the other thing too. Pretty much every single character in these books who aren't Jeremiah, Conrad, or Belly kind of take a back burner. And so that's kind of something that I appreciate about the TV show, is that they give, more character development to characters that you may have liked more if you would have heard more from them in the books. Like, Laurel doesn't get any development in these books. She's just kind of there. I think Belly's dad is mentioned even less. Adam Fisher is mentioned, but he's kind of a jerk in both situations, in the TV show and in the books. But I guess they kind of build on his jerkiness in the show. Jeremiah, Taylor, even a cousin of Jeremiah and Conrad who doesn't exist in the books, an aunt that doesn't exist in the books, and I know that in season 2 got so many people upset that there were new characters, and I was like, what the heck? I was fine with it, mostly because and Cam Cameron was in season 2, and I don't think he actually came back for book 2. I don't think he was mentioned in this. I'm pretty sure he wasn't, because why would you? I don't know. Anyways, he wasn't in the book. He got more character development. I'm glad that they added the aunt and cousin of Jeremiah and Conrad. It added something to the plot. I'm glad that they added the Steven and Taylor relationship, because it added something to their characters and made them more interesting, I guess. I'm just glad that Steven is still there, actually, because he is my favorite character in the show. Consistently throughout all 3 seasons, he's the funniest and one of my favorites. But in the books, it's pretty much just a Belly, Conrad, Jeremiah series, because they have side characters and they have other people, but they aren't really built upon. And so it's kind of just here's supporting cast. Even in the books, Taylor is more supporting cast than she is main character, in my opinion. But yeah, anyways,
book 3, like I said, doesn't get into any of the Stephen Taylor of it all. Stephen and Taylor aren't together in this, so they don't build upon it. And what I can say though, what I can speak on, is the Belly Jeremiah situation. Now, I have some bad news for you if you didn't like what Jeremiah did in the show. I have some bad news for you if you didn't read the book and you're still Team Jeremiah. In the book, Jeremiah gets 5 times worse. And now, I know that there's still more episodes coming out, so you might see that later down the road as well, in the actual show with your own eyes, Jeremiah becoming a worse person. I read it with my own eyes. This is why I feel so strongly about people reading the books before they watch the TV shows or movies, because like, you have an opportunity at this point to kind of get like a sneak peek into what's going to happen in the show, what's going to happen in the movie, whatever, right? This book, they're probably going to try and make Jeremiah seem better than he was in the book, because oh my goodness. So it starts off where, you know, the first 2 episodes is like, oh, we're at college, we're so happy. Also, Stephen never gets in a car accident. That's not a thing. Like, nothing really happens to him, so there was nothing with that. Anyways, Jeremiah and Belly are at the same college, and they're dating, and Jeremiah is a year ahead of her. The whole super senior plot line of like him not reading an email, switching his major, his dad getting mad at him because it's going to take him an extra semester to graduate, like that's not a plot in this book. I think they did that so that way you could feel bad for him, and like in some way I do, but also like read an email. Also, I'm gonna put this out there now before I talk anymore about this. Adam Fisher, I hate you. Like, I'm gonna be so serious. I completely forgot that it was like a plot point in season 1, book 1, that he cheated on Susanna while she was actively undergoing cancer treatments with a secretary at his job. I kind of forgot that was a plot line. And so when I remembered that, actually when somebody reminded me of that, I remembered in season 1 really wanting to see some kind of character growth from Adam. Maybe they do something to make him seem like he's a better person. I remember seeing that, thinking that in book 1 as well. And then when you get into book 2, he's like, oh yeah, I'm selling your house. I'm selling the house. I don't want to be reminded of Susanna. I don't want anything. You guys aren't allowed to do anything. And he's like being a jerk all over again. I'm like, okay, so character growth is just not a thing for this man. Season 3, he's not in book 3. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he says some offhanded comment about the engagement between Jeremiah and Belly. So he's probably in it briefly, but I can't remember exactly what he says in the book. I do remember, however, watching episode 3, sitting there at this table. These are also your spoilers for season 3, up till episode 3. All that's out right now. When they're sitting at that table at dinner in episode 3, the first thing, he has already made me mad from how he was talking to Jeremiah earlier, saying, in like episode 1, saying like this isn't a mistake that Conrad would make, and like all this stuff. Also, I do have some beef with Conrad about not telling people that he got like kicked out of his medical study job thing, because now he's just kind of letting Jeremiah get crapped on, being like, oh look, he's a doctor and he still had time for his family, he's a doctor, and he's just kind of sitting there like, yeah, like Conrad, just tell them. I know your father's gonna hate you, but when have you ever cared about your father, you know? Oh yeah, Conrad's also a favorite character. He's just sassy, and I love him. Anyways, off topic. They sit down at this nice restaurant at Cousins to try and celebrate Susanna. It's lunch after the Susanna Memorial Garden thing, which doesn't happen in the book. And Laurel is talking, and you know, being courteous, what you always do when you go out to lunch, dinner with somebody. He was like, it's on me, I promise. And usually there's a little bit of like a, oh, are you serious? Because I can really, no, it's fine, I got it, I promise, I can do it. And I want to, you know. With Adam, Laurel says, and don't even bother, I'm gonna pay for it, don't bother arguing. And usually even when you say don't bother arguing, there's still a bit of a, are you sure? Adam immediately says, okay, yeah, I would like the surf and turf. And now I don't know if you guys noticed this, because I paused and I analyzed, but like, actually it's not pausing and analyzing, because they like zoomed in on it, showing that you were probably supposed to notice it, was he ordered one of the most expensive things on that menu. He ordered a surf and turf. $75. And now the thing is, you might be like, oh, Sophia, that's so stupid. Why does that even matter? They know that, like, the Conklins, I don't know why I went like this. They are the Conklins. They know that the Conklins don't have a ton of money. They're not broke, but they're not rich, you know? Okay. I found it. So, basically, Laurel says, I'm good, I'm paying for dinner. I'm paying for lunch. Don't even worry about it. Surf and turf, $75. And look, I have the picture up. Like, they zoomed in on it. They wanted you to know what was going on, right? I'm actually surprised. I don't know if you see that, but that says that there's like a prime tomahawk down there for $100. I don't know what that means, but I'm kind of surprised he didn't get that. But oh my goodness, he ordered the surf and turf, and then Jeremiah's like, oh, that sounds delicious. I'd like that too. Knowing that the Conklins don't necessarily come from money, knowing that they're not necessarily rich, but they're not necessarily poor, like they're middle class, upper middle class, I'd say. But they don't have like this much money to be spending, and Adam is immediately like, let me order one of the most expensive things on this menu. And then we go to Conrad after, and he says, I'd like the salmon, please. $40. Now, hear me out. $40 for salmon is still a lot more money than I would pay for salmon. Because what the heck, $40? Also, I'm just cheap. But, he orders one of the least expensive things on that menu. And like, pop off, Conrad, pop off. Anyways, this isn't what we were talking about, but I promise it comes back around. And Belly, she's like feeling bad, so she orders a tomato bisque, which is just soup. She orders soup. And then after they like take the order, she like eating bread or something, and then Adam said, oh, I'd also like to add a seafood tower, please. And you can see the look on Laurel's faces and on Belly's faces when he's like, I'm gonna just add this to the order as well. Like, sir, pay for that. I'm sorry, I know she said that she would pay. At least offer to pay half. Common courtesy, offer to pay half. No, he doesn't do that. Also, before that, they're doing like toasts to their kids or whatever. I don't know why I keep doing this.
they're doing toast to their kids, and basically Adam goes in with like, oh, Conrad, I love you, you're a doctor, you're great, you're amazing, you're my best friend, and I hope that you never die because you're my favorite kid. And then he gets to Jeremiah and says, hear me out, I hate Jeremiah. He's nowhere even in the vicinity of my favorite characters because of all the stuff that he's done and the way that he acts. But I can't help but feel bad for him in this season because Adam immediately goes in with, and he's like, here's to my super senior, let's hope that there's only one more semester left and we'll see what happens next because I hope that I don't have to pay you more money for you. And Jeremiah's like, thanks. And then when he finds out that Jeremiah and Belly have gotten engaged, he immediately looks at him and says, well, I hope you didn't expect that you were getting your mother's ring. Sir? That is his mother's ring. Give it to him. No, also the fact that he, like, I'm pretty sure, because I know that Laurel knew, but I'm pretty sure that he knew Belly and Conrad were dating at some point during the time that around Susanna's death. And yet when they meet, like, after the thing, he's like, Adam says to Conrad, is like, because Conrad had gone up to say hi to Belly and was like hugging her and whatever because they hadn't seen each other since Christmas, which is like their big secret. Oh, we haven't seen each other since Christmas. The thing is, she's like, what Jeremiah didn't know is that I had a secret that I've been keeping from him too. That Conrad was also in Cousins during Christmas and that nothing happened. Like, he went to Cabo for a week, or I don't know where it was in the book. He went to Cabo for a week and cheated on you. And you are feeling bad because you went to Cousins during Christmas. Conrad happened to be there and you did nothing except for, like, watch movies. Who's to say Jeremiah would believe her, but, like, that's the truth. Anyways. I can't remember where I was going with that originally. Oh, yeah, Adam looks... I'm pretty sure Adam knew that they were dating at some point. But after they hug, Adam looks at Conrad and says, oh, look at Conrad back with his little sister. And then Conrad said it to be joking, but he was like, hey, little sis, how you been? Like, he was joking around, kind of making fun of Adam, I believe. But Adam was deadly serious, like, his little sister. No. After the scene from season 2, you know which one that I'm talking about. The one from Christmas last season. The one from Christmas last season, you better not be referring to her as his little sister. Also, wouldn't that technically mean, if you're implying that, wouldn't that technically also mean that she's the little sister of Jeremiah? And you know for 100% fact that her and Jeremiah are dating. Ugh, that was the... No, but if you know for a fact that they're dating, oh, it's so icky. It's so icky. Anyways, I didn't like that comment. Now going back to book 3, because I haven't gotten through a single point in this book that I wanted to talk about how Jeremiah gets worse. So in season 2, what happens after Belly finds out that he cheated on her is basically like, I'm done. Like, you can't cheat on me and then expect me to get back together with you. And, like, in the show, they show her, like, contemplating whether she actually wants to get back together with him and saying, I miss him, and, you know, he was so sweet, he's so thoughtful, and I don't want to throw away what we had, right? in the book, she gets mad and she stays mad, which, like, valid. She gets mad, stays mad. They break up, rightfully so, and it's been like a day or two at this point, and Jeremiah, while she's still mad, walks up to her and says, "Marry me?" And she's like, "Are you kidding me?" He barely says I'm sorry. He's just like, "Marry me because I love you forever." She gets mad, she walks off, and then like a day later comes back and says, "Yes, I'll marry you." Like, how little how little respect do you have to have for yourself that after somebody has just admitted that they cheated on you, not once, but twice, with the same person during spring break, how little respect do you have for yourself to immediately take them back? Like, I'm not even gonna say that she shouldn't have taken him back at all, but it should have been like a time period, like given him time to realize what he did was wrong, let him actually apologize, let him actually feel bad, give yourself space to actually start thinking about if this is actually something that you want, if you're actually willing to forgive him, if this is like something that you're really willing to continue on with, and if it's really something that you miss. Just see how it feels for like at least a month, maybe. Instead, it's no, I'm immediately gonna marry this man because nothing says I love you like cheating on you, right? But that happens, and then they decide there wasn't like a big blowout dinner, because how episode 3 ends is like, I don't know what they're gonna do, because at some point I know that they end up back at Cousins, but what happens at the end of episode 3 is basically Laurel saying to Belly, like, "Hey, I am taking you back home right now. You're not spending the summer in Cousins with Jeremiah. Like, you are insane for trying to marry him." I think she is 20 and he's 21. And she's like, "You're insane for trying to marry him. Okay, I'm taking you home right now. And you're not spending the summer here." Which, honestly, I can't even blame her, because Jeremiah does not have his crap together. Like, at all. At all. So she drags her away. Laurel takes Belly home. In the book, I can't remember, at some point, somehow, her and Jeremiah end up going to Cousins to plan their wedding. So, and they didn't know that Conrad was already there. Like, Conrad had kind of escaped, he went to Cousins. They didn't know that he was already there. So Jeremiah and Belly go to Cousins to plan their wedding. And they're kind of just living normally. Like, Conrad is in the house, and so are Jeremiah and Belly. But they're kind of like respecting each other's spaces. They aren't really doing much. But to be fair, Jeremiah is working most of the time. He's working a job for his dad, right? To try and earn some extra money, since, they're getting married, which, good. Except then he starts becoming even more of a jerk somehow. Because Belly is now planning their entire wedding by herself. Because every time he gets home, he's like, "I'm too tired, I can't do it, I have to focus on work, I have to do this work thing. Work is just taking up so much time." And so he's not helping her plan any aspect of their wedding. And she's starting to get frustrated and overwhelmed because she's planning the entire thing by herself. And so Conrad kind of steps in and is like, "Hey, while he's at work, let me help you make some plans, let me help you pick some stuff up, like let me help you with what I can." Yes. He's like, "Let me help you with what I can." Because the reason why I commend him for that is because he is still actively in love with, like, we hear from his perspective in the book that he's still actively in love with Belly, and like it pains him
physically to see her and Jeremiah together and about to get married, it physically pains him, and yet he's still like having enough sense to say, but I love her so much that if she doesn't love me and she's in love with Jeremiah, I still want to see her happy, which is cliched, but you know what? Sometimes cliches are cliches for a reason. He helps planning the wedding, and then Jeremiah gets so upset that Conrad is anywhere near involved with their wedding that he runs off. Like, they were at Cousins, and he goes back to wherever their like home state is. I'm not that up to date on where they're actually living. I think California, but I'm not 100% sure. He runs off back home, leaves Belly and Conrad at Cousins. They don't do anything. They're still planning a wedding. Like, they're still actively planning Belly and Jeremiah's wedding. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't remember if he runs off. I'm pretty sure he runs off, though. I'm pretty sure he leaves Cousins because of that. And then doesn't come back until the day they're supposed to get married. Looks at Belly and is like, I knew that you were probably going to just be in love with Conrad all along. I was just hoping I could prolong it. So hey, you want to not get married? And then, not divorces her. Breaks off the engagement hours before they're supposed to get married. And then leaves. But what I will say, one of the things I commend this book for is, yes, Belly and Conrad do end up together in the end. But what I commend it for is that they wait years. Like, they wait years before anything happens, I think. I'm not 100% sure. They wait for a while before they get together, Belly and Conrad, because I think they both needed time after what had happened. So she went to, spoilers for literally everything, just saying that now. She ended up going to Spain. Junior year, she did the study abroad. She went to Spain. In the show, she's doing her study abroad in French her junior year, which I think is what she's in now, because they do a fast forward 3 years. Yeah, so she's in her third year of college, which is junior year, and Jeremiah is in his senior year of college. But she goes to Spain in her junior year of college, and her and Conrad are like writing letters back and forth to each other. I don't know where he's at, but I know that he was somewhere else. But he was somewhere else. They were writing letters back and forth to each other for a bit, and then they get married. Like, so they took some time off. They were like separated. They were doing their own things. They were like, she got to do her study abroad, and he got to do whatever he's doing. I was trying to look through it to see, but I'm not a fast enough reader to like. Okay, so it says that they didn't see each other again until her college graduation. Yeah, so I don't know what he did, but they were doing their own things. They weren't together after Jeremiah and Belly separated. They gave each other space. They gave Jeremiah space. Everything was like, they were making sure to do their own things before rushing into anything again, because they knew that doesn't end well. So they write letters back and forth while they're doing their own things. They're still like chatting, whatever. And then they get married later. So yes, they do end up together. They do get married. That is the end of the book. But I really appreciate the fact that they gave the time, and it wasn't just like, oh well, Jeremiah and me just broke off our engagement. Conrad, hi. Like, I'm glad that wasn't it. And that they didn't start dating pretty much at the engagement party, or what was supposed to be the wedding. So I'm really glad that they didn't do that. But I will say, out of all three of these books, this is my least favorite Jeremiah. This is my least favorite Conrad. This is my least favorite Jeremiah. Ooh, and everywhere in between in here is just gray. Because I liked both of them for different reasons. This book pushed me over the edge because Jeremiah, when I catch this fictional character, it's gonna be over. It's gonna be over for him. Oh my goodness. If I ever find a Jeremiah, I don't want to find a Jeremiah. You know what? Because if I started dating somebody who had the personality of Jeremiah, we would not last a month. You're out. I'm done. If you want to be passive aggressive and a jerk, and if you, like, especially if they cheat on me, no, you're not getting a second chance. You cheated on me. Go. Sorry. End of that. If I find my Conrad, I'll be happy. I want to find my Conrad, which is just another extension of me finding my Ben Wyatt. You know what? Find me a man that is a mix between the personalities of Conrad Fisher and Ben Wyatt. Actually, you know what would... I was just thinking about this. It would actually take me out if I found a man like this, in the best way possible. Because if I found a man like this who would actually be with me, oh my goodness, I'd want him. The personality and humor of Conrad and Ben Wyatt combined with the looks of, like, David Tennant. Give him to me. Please and thank you. Anyways, this video has been unnecessarily long. All of this to say, do your research, figure out more about the characters before you go into why you're team this or team that or team him or team her or whatever, you know? Look back at the texts and they'll tell you all you need to know. Because the second you see the Jeremiah personality change from book 1 to book 3, you are no longer team Jeremiah. Actually, he changes a lot in book 2. So, across these 3, trust me, you will no longer be team Jeremiah after about the second half of book 2. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that's all I have to say on Summer Turn 30 for now. Because trust, this is not going to be the last you hear of me. Also, I've been talking for an hour and I keep thinking that it's a lot later than it is. It's 3:06 in the afternoon. Anyways, that was just a random thing. Read the books before you watch the show. Read the books after you watch the show. Just read the books. At some point, you'll see why I feel what I feel, and you'll see that this was the intended purpose all along. So if people get upset that Team Conrad wins and that Belly and Conrad get married, it happened. It happened already. Let's see when this book came out. 2011. In 2011, it was set in stone. And if Jenny Han changes the ending, which I don't think she can actually change the ending of it. If she changes the ending of the book, it changes the entire series. So I don't think she can actually change the ending of the book. But like, this has been set in stone. If you think about this.
2011, so it would have been 10 years ago in 2021. So it's been 14 years?
I think, if my math is correct, 14 years. This has been set. Hold on.
2011 was 14 years ago.
I'll crash out later. 14 years this has been set in stone as the ending for the book. And you're gonna try and tell me now, like, oh, that's not how I intended it to end. Like, yes, it is. That's how you wrote it. That's how you intended it to end. Anyways, I told you I was probably gonna have more to talk about on this. Anyways, read the books. Wrong word. Read the books. Do it. I dare you. Because I read this book in 2 days, I read this book in 2 days, and I read this one in a week. Because I was going through some stuff. But that's neither here nor there. I changed my mind. I like the way it looks the other way better. It took me a week to finish this one. But you know what? Even a week isn't that bad for me to finish a book, honestly. Because it took me like a month to finish the last book I was reading. So, yeah. Read these. They're short reads. They're good reads. And, you'll get more information on why I am on the team that I am. I feel like I was holding these different earlier. How was I holding these? It doesn't matter. Oh, it was fanned out this way. There we go. That's what it was. Perspective. And yeah, now I'm just rambling. So I'm gonna go and, I don't know, do something. Maybe crash out. Maybe read a book. We'll see. We'll see. It's been a while since I've read. Maybe I should reread these. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you have more, if you've read the books and you have more reasons why you actually do think that the books ended poorly, if you think that Belly should have ended up with Jeremiah, let me know in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. I'm not opposed to the people who like Team Jeremiah. I just don't see it. Anyways, give me your reasons down below if you ship Team Jellyfish, as they call it in the show. I don't know if there's a ship name for it in the book. I'm gonna just guess Jellyfish. Or if you're Team Bonrad, let me know as well. I would love to hear your thoughts. And yeah, I'll let you guys go. I hope you have a great day and a great whatever. And I will talk to you guys later, and hopefully a lot sooner than what's it been? Years probably. Anyways, bye guys, I love you. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.